Hello and welcome to the Wrestling Answers podcast. I'm your host, as ever, Miyamo Jeff 53, joined as ever by my wonderful co-host, Joebot 22.
Hello. Oh, I've done it again, 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, Jesus.
I was thinking of an intro. I was going to do like Hall of Fame because that's fitting with this week.
Yes,
But
because if
no,
you couldn't
welcome to the
tell,
20th episode.
today is episode 20, which means it is the second inductee into the Wrestling Answers podcast Hall of Fame. But we're not doing that segment first. We're going to save
That was
that
my intro.
for the midpoint of the show. And I'm sure Joe will be glad to know it's replacing Top or Flop this week, so you don't have to worry about only getting like 6 points out of a possible 33.
Hey, we made history last week.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
So hey, you can only go up from there. So
I
next
mean,
week I'll be
you
back
did only
fighting
get a
for-
total of 7 points. So
Well, I didn't say it was good history.
yeah.
But no, I've been studying the charts. I've been seeing, I've gotten like an encyclopedia of like every UK number one. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So we'll just crack on. You have to wait a little bit for the Hall of Fame segment. But first, we will talk about quite a lot of things have actually happened in the wrestling industry since our last episode. Obviously, last episode we were talking about John Cena made his return, and since then he's appeared on both Raw and SmackDown. Goldberg is back, hooray! What else? Daniel Bryan has, according to speculation and innuendo within the wrestling business, he has signed a contract with AEW to appear at their next pay-per-view show, which I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's soon, from what I read. And in slightly more surprising news, allegedly CM Punk has signed with AEW as well. The thing is, this is our topic this week, if you couldn't already tell. The thing is, I'm not 100% sure he has, because he did this before, right? He did this when he signed on with Fox to do WWE Backstage before that got cancelled, where he was just being a bit of a troll. He was doing a little bit of trolling, as Donald Trump would say. He was following. I think he followed AEW. He followed Tony Khan. He followed the Young Bucks. As well as following WWE, Vince McMahon. Unsurprisingly, he didn't follow Triple H. But yeah, he's doing very similar things now. The rumor is he has signed with AEW, but neither him nor the company are going to announce it yet. They're going to have him be a surprise appearance or what have you. But he's doing pretty much the exact same thing. Yeah, he's followed WWE and Vince McMahon, as well as following AEW and Tony Khan on Twitter again. So I think the rumor, I don't know, I feel like because Bryan, it's a much safer option to say, yeah, he's signed for them, because, his company rights with the WWE have expired. He's no longer listed on their current stars list. He will, and I'm sure this will pain quite a few people, he will not appear in WWE 2K22 officially. Apparently he's been removed. Because obviously he doesn't work for the company anymore. But, I think with Bryan, it looks a lot more likely he'll go there. Not as Daniel Bryan, obviously, because WWE own the copyright to Daniel Bryan. But, he'll go back to being his actual name, Bryan Danielson. But that's not what the question is. The question this week is, will CM Punk actually appear for AEW? What do you think, Joe?
Well, there's always the thing where it's like you hope that he will. However, I think we talk about social media a lot on this show,
Hmm.
and our stand is it doesn't impact wrestling as much as we would want it to. So therefore, I'm going to say just because purely the entire, well, I'm sure it's not the entire speculation, but most of the speculation is coming from they followed him on Twitter. I don't think that's enough to say like yeah at this point. Like
Yeah,
I
no,
just think
I get that. Yeah.
I just think that people are getting their hopes up, and would I like to see CM Punk come back to wrestling or even commentary? Absolutely, but
Hmm.
we'll see how it develops, I guess. But I'm just gonna say, don't get your hopes up because it's on
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
social media.
that is a very important thing. Is he could just be trolling, you know, because
Yeah, do a little trolling.
this is really the only indication that he wants to return to wrestling. Well, he did give an interview. I think it was several months, maybe even a year ago now, saying he wants to come back to wrestling at least for one more match. But I don't know. I feel like going to AEW for a one-off match. I can't really see it happening. I feel like if he was to come back to AEW, they would want him to be like I I guess he'd probably be like what WWE are doing with Edge now, where like you bring him back once every couple of months just for like a big match when you don't have anyone else, and then he can just go off and do whatever he wants to for the next 3 months or whatever, and then bring him back for the next pay-per-view or pay-per-view after, those kind of things.
Yeah, I feel
I
like for
feel
one more, they
I
wouldn't
don't.
want to
Yeah,
like
it wouldn't be
surprise.
worth it. It wouldn't be worth
It wouldn't
them
be like
going through all the effort of trying to get him to come back just to do one match.
yeah, but I feel like for a surprise return, which is what it seems like now, unless they put it on Twitter and all, I
No,
feel like for a
I feel like
surprise return,
the
they
only
wouldn't
way
go without a world match.
it could really work for Punk, I think, is to do a surprise return. Because if you announce it ahead of time, it sort of takes away from it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's
but
why, like,
if no, if it's one match,
if it's
I
yeah,
feel
if
like
it's one match, then like have him come out and challenge somebody on an episode of
yeah,
Dynamite, maybe. But like, if they, because I feel like what they want is they want him to come back for a proper run, right? They have, Double or Nothing's already happened this year, hasn't it? Because AEW have something called the Double or Nothing Battle Royale, which is like, I guess it's their version of the Royal Rumble. Obviously, it's not as big, but they have big returns in it sometimes. They had what's an Evan Bourne show up once. Well, I
that's
say a
the name.
big
I'm not
return,
sure.
Evan Bourne. Um, Sorry, I feel like I'm just slating Evan Bourne. I like Evan Bourne as well. Like it's just he's obviously not as big a name as someone like
Oh
CM Punk
yeah,
or WWE get Edge back for the Royal Rumble. They get Rey Mysterio. AEW get Evan Bourne and
that's cool.
you know fucking what's his name? Justin, not Justin Credible, the other Justin. I can't even remember his name. He was in the Nexus. Like he wrestles for them now.
Oh, Gabriel.
That's the one, Justin Gabriel. Like there's a big gulf in terms of the name quality that they can really attract in terms of like legends of the business. I mean, yeah, AEW have Christian. They have Jericho. They have Jake the Snake. They've got Taz, Jim Ross, some other
Big
people.
Show.
Big Show, yeah, they got Paul White on commentary. Not in the ring, just on commentary. But I feel like if Punk were to return, it would be more likely to be AEW. Not because he has ties with them, because obviously he doesn't really have any ties with them. Because I feel like he knows, as well as all the fans know, if he went back to WWE, I would bet you serious money the first thing they do is they put him in a feud with either John Cena or Triple H. It's the first thing they will do. Because
Yeah,
it's already, the groundwork's already there. The Triple H thing, they were going to have a match at WrestleMania 30, Triple H and CM Punk, which is why Bryan had the match with Triple H instead, and then obviously got in the main event. Like, there's unfinished business there for Punk and Triple H in real life and in kayfabe. So, yeah, it reeks of that's what they would do if he went back to WWE, So, and he doesn't want that. I don't want that. I don't think many people want that. I don't even think Triple H really wants that. Because you're going to get a 40-something-year-old guy who hasn't wrestled a match in 7 years versus a 50-something guy whose last match was a horrendous tag match in Saudi Arabia where he tore his entire pectoral muscle. So, yeah, you can see why nobody really wants this match, can't you?
yeah.
But yeah, if he did return to wrestling, AEW I think is much more likely. Maybe Ring of Honor, Ring of Honor were apparently in contact with a return for Punk last year, but it never really came about. Probably because Ring of Honor as a company have been dead ever since AEW started. But yeah, I think personally, I think Punk will appear for AEW at some point, whether that's, as soon as people are making it out to be, and whether that's in the ring at all is up for debate. But I think if he wants to get back into the wrestling business, chances are he'll do it through AEW, whether that be as a manager, a commentator, which I think would probably suit him the best at the minute. Get him on commentary and then sort of slowly push him back into the ring, maybe. Or just comes back straight away as a wrestler. I do think we'll see Punk in AEW. It's just a question of when, not if.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really hope he does
Yeah.
come back because
Yeah. Well, I've missed him.
we need it.
I
We need it.
AEW at the minute could do with a little bit of a shot in the arm because I don't know what is going on over there. And normally I would have like a vague idea. I genuinely, I know Kenny Omega's the world champion and he's a heel. That's about it.
Just book it, Cody.
Yeah, just. Well, the thing is, if Cody books it, Cody will probably put himself over and then he'll do like a Triple H.
Oh,
fucking
it do like a
story.
Brock Lesnar at Money in the Bank, just comes out and wins.
Well, no, like what probably happen is, CM Punk will come out because I think the next pay per view is in Chicago, which is why people think he's going to come back. The next pay per view is in Chicago. He'll come out, he'll get like just this massive rapturous applause. Cody's going to get booed out the fucking building. Like Cody he'll probably fucking come. He'll come out. He'll squash CM Punk, and he'll turn heel right then and there. And he'll be like, "Oh, look at me! I'm like Triple H, but I'm younger." Fuck off, Cody, mate. Pissing me off.
I can't wait for that match now.
Cody to me is like he is my AEW Ricochet. Whenever I see Cody show up on AEW, I immediately just go, "Oh, for God's sake!" Because whenever I've seen him on AEW, he's either coming out and squashing people, or he's cutting some stupid promo, showing off his dumb looking neck tattoo. He's like, oh, look at my wife. Look at my wife. She is black. I can't be racist. She is a black woman. You know? Bloody Cody, man. Fuck off. Pissing me off, man. I've had enough of him. Get him out. I'll buy out his shares in the company. I'll buy you out, Cody, and then I'll job you out. Get ready for
Anyhow,
AEW Dark Jobber matches against Jungle Boy and fucking Marco Stunt.
and
Matt,
Bush.
fucking Zack Ryder, the current GCW. Did you see that, by the way? The clip of him winning the GCW World Championship, which GCW is a hardcore company. Did you see the clip of him winning? Everybody in the crowd was throwing like bottles. I think somebody threw a chair at him. Like immense levels of heel heat. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's funny.
It's
But,
great stuff. Tell you what, Zack Ryder, you silly bastard, you've done it again. You've managed to turn heel. I can't believe it.
Woo woo woo.
Apparently, he actually comes out to that as well, despite the fact it's copyrighted by WWE. Maybe it's a cover.
What a chad.
He doesn't care about copyright laws, bro. It make GCW pay for it. But like, oh yeah, now I'm coming out to my own theme, and they're like, yeah, but WWE own it, and he goes, and
I'm the fucking internet champion, you motherfucker.
mate, look at me. I am
Who do you think
Zack
you are?
Ryder. I'm the biggest star you've got in this bloody company.
Oh, that right, man.
Zack Ryder. What a bloke. I think he was the was he the first person we covered on the WAP when we did our individual wrestler ones? Yeah.
Was it Brodus? No, it wasn't Brodus.
No, it was Zack Ryder first, and then I think it was like
Was it Titus and Neil? No, that was later.
Yeah, Titus was around like episode 7, episode 8 kind of time. Episode 2, I think it was The Miz, you know. I could be wrong.
Wouldn't have been The Miz, I don't think. Maybe.
3.
No,
I know episode 3 was Nakamura because I remember making the thumbnail and just slipping him in.
That was the first one, wasn't it? The Tramp Wrestling.
Yeah, Trump Wrestling, yeah.
Iconic episode.
What an episode. But yeah, so we'll move on as we've said our piece about Mr. Phil Brooks. We'll move on to our second one. Do you think that Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga will actually be good or not? And I asked this not because, Lego have a bad track record. Of course they don't. I say this because we haven't heard anything about the game other than the fact it's just going to come out at some point when it got to like April and then they said, "Oh, yeah, we're going to miss the spring release." So it's just going to be indefinite, That's the last we heard of the game. We haven't seen any gameplay footage since about this time last year, nearly. No, it was October last year because there were trailers, a couple more trailers last year, but we haven't seen footage for nearly a full year now. It's indefinitely postponed, or the release of it is indefinitely postponed. It's not looking good for it, is it, Joe?
No, I keep going in and out of like remembering that game exists. I feel like the hype has definitely died down for it. I just don't see what they're doing with it. I guess they probably had some changes that they want to do, and they had to sort of rework elements of the game. But I'm not sure. I just feel it's just disappointing because I feel like it will be good, but I feel like because of the the delays and the lack of like development updates and all, it's just going to be a boring experience sort of thing. Like there's going to be no hype around the game as there would have been
Yeah, I
had
know,
it
I get that.
released when it was expected. So
Yeah. Well,
I feel like that's what's going to ruin it.
I think my thought process behind it is it's not the delays that are, like tampering it for me. It's more the fact that we haven't heard anything. Like all we've seen is quite minimal gameplay, and that's not a good thing. Considering the game's been delayed, it's nearly been like a year since it was more than a year since it was supposed to come out. It You would expect they would have got more gameplay footage to show us, wouldn't you? And this is leading into a topic we're going to talk about later, but it's San Diego Comic-Con is going on right now. Maybe we'll see some here because Lego always have a decent presence here. They always, show off a load of sets. Of course, they've got like exclusive little minifigures or little builds or whatever. So maybe we'll get proven wrong, and maybe they'll show footage here, give us a release date. But I don't have faith for that because if the game, obviously the game's not going well, the development isn't going well because it's been delayed indefinitely. So they don't know when they're going to finish it. And you could say COVID. COVID obviously will have played a big factor in this because Traveller's Tales, big international developer group, obviously based primarily in Britain, but then again, the lockdown rules in Britain meant everyone had to work from home. And that's gonna, that's gonna tamper with your production time, isn't it? So I can understand it being delayed the first time. However, unless because the release date was like June 2020 kind of a time, between June and September 2020, right? So they must have been developing this for a while because the first trailer they ever showed for it was E3 2019. So that's at least a year nearly a year before lockdown started, where they would have had time to get work done, right? And a little insider knowledge I have for you here. They didn't start working on episode 9 until the film came out, which came out at the end of 2019. So, obviously, you would have thought they would have had most of it finished before then, and then would have started work on episode 9. My thought is, once they were allowed to go back to their offices, because, they were allowed to go back to their offices from, like, June, I think it was. They've now had over a year of being back in offices, and we're sort of at the same point as we were when we went into the first lockdown. Except, we've got a bit more gameplay footage to show for it. But it's been a very long time since we've seen anything, and my fear is the reason they're not showing gameplay footage is because the game isn't very good, or the game is nowhere near finished. Which it should be, considering the amount of time they've had to work on it. And I know game development takes a long time and all this, but if you make a trailer and you show it off at E3 in 2019, saying you're going to release it next year, then you should already have a good portion of the game done by then. Correct?
I feel like what might have happened is episode 9 came out and they maybe saw that and they thought, oh, this might be an interesting mechanic that we can put in, and they maybe had to rework a few elements of the game. Maybe they did something like with Ray or something. And
Ooh. Well, to be fair,
Maybe they
a
put
lot of the
like
features, a lot of the
optional
features
with it.
they announced for it do seem, they're brand new to like the Lego engine and stuff. Like they've added, first-person shooting mode, for example, which I'm sure going from a third person to a first-person mode isn't going to be, especially in the Lego game engine, it's not going to be the smoothest. So I can understand that taking a long time. But we've seen in some of the footage some of that first-person shooting. It, it looks fine. But the thing that also gets me is technically the Force Awakens game has first person shooting already in it because
Yeah,
there's that you might remember this. There's like turrets or like gun turrets or whatever you can use in that, and it puts you in a first person mode. And Force Awakens also had like stealth and like cover shooting and stuff, which is stuff they're trying to implement in this as well. So it feels like unless they're trying to rework the whole engine to, I don't know, look. I'm sure working on brand new hardware isn't helping the speed of it because they're having to develop for last gen and current gen. I'm sure that's not really helping it, but I don't know. It just feels like, considering Lego games turnaround typically, this feels very out of character for them. And I know this is it's very obviously the biggest project they've ever done. Like they're doing 6 levels for 9 movies. What's that? That's, I'm trying to think. 54 levels. That's 54 levels. They're going to have open world planets. They're introducing a proper first person shooter mechanic to it. They're doing all this shit to make it the best game it can be. But I think, I'll be honest here, I think they're jumping the shark. I think they're doing much more than they feasibly can, especially with lockdown. And I feel like when the final game comes out, some of these features may be cut just because, well, they can't do it.
well, we'll see how it goes, but I feel like most of the development issues will come down to hardware and being over ambitious, which I mean,
Yeah,
it's
well,
it's a good thing, but depends on how
it depends
you
on
can run
how
it, I guess.
far, yeah, how far above what they really can do they go. Because if they're pushing themselves to the extreme to try and get all this stuff in, then maybe just you don't need to. You don't need to try and make the ultimate game, right? Ultimately you're making a kids game. You know, everybody will play a Lego game. Fucking old and young, everybody plays the Lego games, especially the Lego Star Wars games, because they're so key in a lot. Like mine, for example. I have a lot of great memories playing the complete saga. Hell, I play the complete saga still. I'm trying to 100% complete it on my Xbox. And these Lego games, they're a big part of a lot of people's childhoods, and they don't want to disappoint, which they sort of did with Force Awakens. Force Awakens was a bit, eh, like it. I liked some of the things they did. I liked them trying to implement all this new stuff. It's just the way they implemented it, and just the whole feel of the game. They stretched out one movie to be like 15 levels. Like you can't really do that, can you? You know, People gave the Lego Avengers game flack because they stretched each movie out to like 8 levels each. But The Force Awakens has got about 10, 15 levels from one movie. So, you know. But yeah, um, do I think it will be bad? I don't think it will be bad. I think what it will be is underwhelming for what people have built themselves up to think it's going to be because of all the delays and stuff, and they think, you know, more delay equals more game. That's not how it works. You look at Cyberpunk 2077. You look at Fallout 76. You look at what's another game that got delayed? Duke Nukem Forever is obviously like the easiest example in the world to go to for game delays. I think the closest example now would probably be Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 got delayed, and all the people, everyone got pissed off because they thought, oh, well, it's coming out so soon. It should have been delayed more, and I think they don't want to make the same mistake that CD Projekt Red made, which is releasing the game before it's finished, despite the fact you've already postponed its release by several months. It's just, how long do you leave it, before people start to just kick off? Because CD Projekt Red, they have a lot of good faith, so do Traveller's Tales. Well, CD Projekt Red had a lot of good faith, I should say. Because obviously The Witcher 3 is probably, I'm going to say it, Joe, it's possibly one of the most influential games of the last 10 years. Right?
Agreeable.
Yeah, there we go. See, because The Witcher 3 has influenced more than just its own genre. It's influenced pretty much every big open world game that's come out since it. Like you can see evidence of influence in like Red Dead 2 and all that kind of shit. But yeah, CD Projekt Red had so much good faith before Cyberpunk. They sort of made the mistake of, well, we've got this small group of fans saying, what are you postponing it for? The game's been in development for 7 years. Just give us the game already. Let's just give them the game. I think Traveller's Tales have seen what happened there, and they're trying to avoid that. I'm trying to play both halves here. Ultimately, I want the game to come out as soon as possible, but I don't want it to come out a big broken mess like Cyberpunk 2077. So, like I say, I don't think it would be bad. I just think people will get their expectations up too high, including myself. I feel like, I set quite high expectations for this game because of what they've done in the past. And a lot of people will be in a similar boat to me. I'm sure you're probably in a similar boat. You set quite high expectations because this is the biggest game that Traveller's Tales have made in their biggest franchise, and it's a big moment for a lot of people, including myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, of course I'm going to set high expectations. I set high expectations for a lot of games that I look forward to. And, I don't want to be disappointed, obviously, but I can't set them too high unless we want a Cyberpunk situation where everyone set their expectations, all the way up in the sky because they'd seen what CD Projekt Red could do with The Witcher, and then reality struck, and Cyberpunk is crap. So, But yeah, to answer the question wholeheartedly, I think it will be good, just not as good as some people want it to be. I think that's the most succinct answer I could give. It's a very I've gone a very, very roundabout way of just saying, yeah, I think it'll be alright.
Yeah, but that's a good answer. I think it's the sentiment that everyone agrees with.
Yeah, well, like using modern case studies, you see examples, and I'm sure this, same sort of thought process with Traveller's Tales. You look at No Man's Sky's launch, you look at Cyberpunk's launch, you look at Fallout 76's launch. All of them garnered a lot of bad will because people expected more, and I think Traveller's Tales want to try and meet expectations rather than under-deliver, but get the game out sooner. because it's taken a year and a half for Fallout 76 to become just okay. Like, I played it once, it's just, it's fine, you know? I don't like it, I don't hate it any longer. It's like a 6 out of 10, you know? But when it came out, it was like a 2 out of 10. Same as Cyberpunk, same as No Man's Sky. You know, No Man's Sky, look what's happened to No Man's Sky since that game came out. No Man's Sky is now really, really good. Cyberpunk, well, Cyberpunk is sort of the same. But yeah, Fallout 76 is just meh, and I don't want this to be meh. I want this to be an 8 or a 9 out of 10. You know, I'd love it to be a 10 out of 10, but got to temper expectations a little bit. A lot of people will be expecting those 8s, 9s, and 10s, and Traveller's Tales need the time to make it that 8, 9, 10 out of 10 that people want, because they don't want the same situation that CD Projekt Red and Bethesda have had to deal with everybody hating them. I mean, people hated Bethesda beforehand, but, you know, that's because they just make bad games. Ooh. Roasted.
Yeah, I'm not really a Bethesda guy. I can't really give my opinion.
No, I'm not a huge Bethesda guy. Listen, right? I'm gonna make a public service announcement. I have played Skyrim, but I didn't play it until 2018. And by 2018, it wasn't very good. I've said it. I think playing it in 2018, I haven't played it probably since 2019, but when I played it in 2018, I thought, well, this is a good set level for open world first person games. I don't think it's this fucking masterpiece of design and all this kind of shit that Bethesda bumlickers like to say it is. I just think it's okay, you know.
It's the same of what we talked about last week, where it's like, yeah, it may be good at the time. It may have some like things that carry over into the modern day.
Yeah. Well, I think Skyrim.
However,
It's
it might
Skyrim.
not
Skyrim is like, I will say Skyrim is influential, because it'd be incredibly moronic to argue against Skyrim being one of the most influential games of the last 10, 20 years, whatever. Because, you know, first-person open-world games just wouldn't really be nearly as popular if it weren't for Skyrim. You know, think about how many units Skyrim sold. You know, there's got to be a level of influence behind that, right? And I know it sounds sort of contradictory to what I was saying about Final Fantasy VII. The difference between Final Fantasy VII and Skyrim is Skyrim takes a lot of these, like... It takes a lot of what had already been established, but then develops them to the point that everyone now uses Skyrim as a barometer for a good open-world first-person game. You know? Like, it speaks levels that nearly 10 years later, the engine used in Skyrim was still being used in Fallout 76. Because Bethesda just cracked it. Well, they think they cracked it. I think it's still a horrible, broken mess. But, you know. They are developing a new engine for Elder Scrolls 6, which is going to be an Xbox exclusive. So, good for them. But yeah, we've waffled about other game developers all the time. You know, we've given our answer on Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, but now we'll move from one game onto another game that actually has released. Pokemon Unite. At the time of recording this, Pokemon Unite only came out about 5 days ago. It was 21st of July it released.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. It's been out for 5 days. Me and Joe have played it a bit. Joe's played it a lot more than I have, so he's a lot more qualified to talk about it than I am. And, you know, he's a game developer, so he's more qualified to talk about all this stuff than I am anyway. But, Yeah, so I'm sure you've got more to say about Pokemon Unite as you played it a lot more than me. So I'll let you take the floor on this one, Joe.
Okay, well, it's not a perfect game. There's a lot of flaws with it. However, it's not meant to be this new big competitive game, I don't think. I think Nintendo have sort of given up on their esports scene. I think Smash and Splatoon are the only people who really care about it. So I don't think people should take it as seriously as they do. Like, yeah, it's a big pay to win mess, but let's face it, it's a free game. Like, they can't just give everything up for free because it's not really fair, and it adds nothing new to the game. Let's face it, if you get everything from the get go, you won't really get to try out new characters. But as I mean, the direction I'm going is I'm just like slowly unlocking them as I go and like saving
Mm.
up my coins. I'm not really paying for anything.
Yeah.
Um, so
Well, yeah,
I think that
it's
that
a free
keeps
it's a
it
free
really
to
fresh.
play game, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's not too different to the kind of stuff you get on your phone, like licensed like gacha games. Like I don't want to go to the most obvious example because I hate it, but Genshin Impact, I suppose. We've spoken about Genshin Impact a little bit on the podcast and how we don't like it, but it shares similarities in terms of being, free to play. But if you want to get to like the higher level of the game, you got to put a bit of money in it. Or you could spend a very long time grinding out coins in game rather than doing what I feel like a majority of people have just done and just whack like 50 quid on the game and just buy all the good characters.
exactly. People say it's
It's
a big pay
a
to win
MOBA.
mess.
I don't think it's a pay.
However,
I don't think it's hugely pay to win. I think obviously your experience playing the game because you've played a lot more ranked than I have. I've only played a very little amount of ranked. I mostly play casual, but my experience has been more like it's really a toss of a coin who wins. Like it just depends on how well the rest of your team sort of click. Like it because we've played together and usually we're not. Obviously there's team cohesion there. Um, but no matter how much cohesion is there between us and someone else who might be playing with us, it we're not the full five. You know, so
exactly. Yeah.
we we have to rely on the other people in the party, or well, in the game rather, because not in the voice chat or whatever. But we have to rely on the other people in the game to step up because it's not 3v5, it's 5v5. And sometimes the other team. One thing I have noticed with this game is it's very hard to turn it around. Like, there's been occasions where we have. There's one that pops into mind where we were like 400 down and we still managed to come back and win. But
See, I disagree with that. I think it's a very back and forth game, assuming that
assuming
your
the full
team
team
doesn't
playing,
lose hope.
yeah, no, that's the thing though. I think this game sort of feeds into, oh, we've lost a point. Well, you know, like a lot of one thing I've
We have
realized
seen
from like
that because people have like
yeah.
left or
Yeah, well,
just gone AFK.
one thing I've realised from loading into just just like a regular random game is as soon as you lose a point, your whole team sort of just play very defensive. Like they all defend. You lose your first top point, everybody goes and defends either the second top point or they go and defend the first bottom point, rather than actually trying to put points on the board. Which that's not what you want to do. You want to be trying to also take one of their points. And even if you are losing, you're not gonna win by just sitting there and stopping yourself from losing even more. You have to actively go and put points on the board, you know? Like, I play predominantly, like, quicker characters, so I can, I usually fulfill that role of just, even if we're losing, I'll quickly run over, put some points in, run back, you know? But
Yeah.
in terms of comparing it to, like, other MOBAs, like Dota, like League of Legends, even Guild Wars. No, not Guild Wars. What am I saying? Yeah, it feels a lot like just baby's first MOBA, which is it's what it really should be. It's not this big competitive League of Legends beta. It's just a free to play Pokemon themed MOBA that is it's going to come out on mobile. Like, of course, it's not going to be a big competitive thing because you'll be able to play it while you're taking a shit. I mean, you can already on your Switch because you can play in handheld mode. But
You can do it in the office at work.
yeah, exactly. You're on your break at work, just whack your phone out, load into a game, take you like 10 minutes, bing bang bosh.
Get smoked by a Gengar.
Yeah, and just get absolutely just roasted by people playing Greninja. It's fine.
Well, but back to the point, because I feel like a lot of people have been like crying, saying it's like pay to win. I don't think there's any characters that you can say, oh, these guys are like game breaking.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't come across any characters that are like broken. Like, every character seems fairly well balanced. Obviously, there are better characters than others. You know, like the ones you pay more for typically are going to be better than the ones you pay less for. Like, they that makes sense. But
I mean, the exact quote from you when we were playing was, "The game's balanced because all the characters are shit," and
well, yeah,
I
a
feel like
lot of
that's
them
like
are pretty
extremely
poor.
true.
A lot of the characters are just shit, but the ones that aren't shit, like your Greninjas, your Gengars, I wouldn't say they're like massively better than everyone else. They're just not terrible. They don't have any like severe weakness like some other ones do. Because like I play three different characters. I play Zero Aura, I play Mr. Mime, and I play Venusaur. Venusaur's weakness is that he's slow. Mr. Mime's weakness is that he's slow, and Zero Aura's weakness is that he dies very quickly and doesn't do like a huge amount of damage. So, they have these quite obvious weaknesses. Gengar and Greninja, I suppose because they're like they're the most expensive characters in the game, or two of them anyway. It would make sense that they gave them less of a weakness because you're having to pay more coins to get the characters. So
Exactly.
your people complaining, oh, these characters are so unbalanced. What are you doing, Tencent? Nintendo, fix this game. Well, all of the 6K coin characters are perfectly fine. Or I say they're perfectly fine. They're all equally terrible, but they're all equally balanced because
I
of
mean,
it.
hey, I've been getting fucked by them skull bunnies and algosses. Like,
Yeah, like bro,
they're the
Eldegoss
characters
doesn't
I hate
play.
the most. I'm fine
Eldegoss
against the
doesn't play.
Lucario.
Yeah, well, Lucario, like, he's a perfect example of the game is balanced. He's 10k and he's kind of mid. Like,
Yeah.
he just feels like Zero Aura, but a little better. Like, that's all it is. So, everyone complaining like, the game's not balanced. The game's not balanced. No, the game is balanced. You're just getting your ass kicked because you're shit and you're playing a bad character. You're probably fucking main Pikachu or some bollocks like that, despite the fact that Pikachu
And
stinks.
another thing for me is it's not hard to earn money in the game, or at least like enough to buy a starting character.
Oh yeah,
Because
well,
I,
like,
I got I got Garchomp, which is a 10k character. I got that in a day.
yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, I got Mr. Mime after having only played probably like 10 games because I just had
You regret it though.
so many coins. I mean,
You,
I regret it because he's awful, and I wish I'd have bought Gengar instead if I'd saved up a little more. But well, I'll know that for the future. Just I've got him now. Maybe next time they, when the first patches come in, maybe he'll get a buff. Because I'm sure, I'm sure Nintendo will at least keep this game updated for a bit. Because if you remember, it's Tencent developing it, not Nintendo, and Tencent are very good at running these MOBAs. So I'm sure, well, very good. They're okay at running these MOBAs. So I'm sure they'll keep the game updated and they'll keep everyone fairly balanced, you know. Like from what I remember, I haven't played League, but from what I remember from playing Dota, it was fairly balanced. So I mean, it could be completely unbalanced now. It's been literally years since I played Dota 2. But yeah, Tencent generally are fine with keeping character balance.
yeah,
So yeah,
this is the one game where I'm really like excited for at the moment. I feel like it's going to get a lot better. And
I think right now there's not a huge amount of content in it, which sort of puts me off it a little bit. Like like I say, you've played it a lot more than me. To be honest with you, I haven't played it a lot because like I play about 2 or 3 games and then I just get a bit bored of it. But you know, when more content comes out, because I'm sure more content will come out, and more characters will come out, and buffs and nerfs will come, and more maps and all these different things. Yeah, I think the game will improve. I'm sure they'll try and get the game, like they'll try and improve the game before it comes out on mobile in September. So we've got got a couple months before for the game to improve. But yeah,
it's definitely not a League of Legends killer though, folks. So don't
no,
get
oh
worried.
god, no, it's like I say, it's pretty much just baby's first MOBA. Like it's
Well,
very
probably one of the
very
funniest things I've heard this week.
it's
Uh,
so
I
easy
can
to learn how to play this game. Like literally, all you have to do is you spam the A button to attack, and then you press your directional buttons to do a super or special, whatever. Like that's it. You know, it's very very easy to learn that game, especially compared to stuff like Dota and League. But yeah, Pokemon Unite. I think it's okay so far. It's got a lot of promise, a lot of Quincy promise. Um, yeah, I think give it a couple months, and obviously it's not gonna be on the same level as League or Dota, but I'm sure a lot of people will be playing it. Yeah. So with that, we'll move on to the midpoint of the show, which, as I mentioned earlier, would normally be top or flop, but in fact is, because it's episode 20, our second inductee into the Wrestling Answers podcast Hall of Fame. Now, if you don't understand what that means, basically, the Hall of Fame revolves around a part of the show that gets brought up. So, gets brought up quite a lot. So, in the last one we had, well, not just parts that get brought up constantly, but, like iconic moments from the WAP. So, in the first one, the nominees were, I'm going to try and remember these: Tramp Wrestling, Ricochet in a Gimp costume, the Miz Talking Smack promo, and Grimm's Toy Show. And of course, the first and currently only inductee into the Wrestling Answers podcast Hall of Fame was The Miz and his Talking Smack promo, because it's good. I couldn't really think of anything more to say though. It's just good promo, isn't it? But yeah, so our nominees for the second inductee, because of course, as I laid out in the rules last time, the 3 nominees from the last set of voting aren't eligible for this vote, but they will be eligible for the next vote. So we have 4 lovely new nominees for this week. And our first nominee is a man we've brought up many, many times on this podcast. And, you know, we love him. I'm sure you guys at home love him. He loves himself, I'm sure, considering all the fucking naked shit he puts on Instagram. Can't get that out of my head. It is the big guy, Ryback. He is our first nominee. Our second nominee is a segment that strikes fear into the hearts of many. And anger into others when they get the year wrong because they get it off by like a year or something, and I'm just a bit of a dick and I won't give it to them. Yes, of course, it is everybody's favourite segment, top or flop. Of course, we're only done 4 rounds of it, but it's made its mark on the podcast. Certainly has. Not for entirely positive reasons, but well, you know, we'll see. Our third nominee is one that Joe nominated to me the other day. It's from last week even. The Final Fantasy status as an influential game, because obviously we had quite a big argument about it.
It wasn't really an argument. It was more of like a point counterpoint sort of thing.
More like me just spitting facts and logic at you.
I mean, we sort of met halfway with it.
Yeah, okay. Because it's an influential game in RPGs, but not in general.
Hey, right. There was Final Fantasy music at the Olympic ceremony. I'm taking that.
Yeah, there was also Kingdom Hearts music. Does that mean Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep is the most influential game of the last 20 years, Joe?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
But
Birth by Sleep is shit. Yeah, so Final Fantasy's status as an influential game, of course, an infamous segment from our last week's episode, where I spat facts and logic, and Joe just sat there crying in his bedroom, as he usually does.
absolutely.
And our final nominee is not actually from a numbered episode. Oh no, it is. Sorry, no, it is. The reason I thought it wasn't is because it's related to E3. And it is one of my... I'm shocked this didn't come true, by the way. One of my predictions for E3, what games we wanted to see. It's not Leisure Suit Larry's HD remaster. It's not even the Breaking Bad Telltale game. Coming out for the PS4. Look out for it in Target. But no, it's actually the title that garnered the most laughs in that segment. It's Ace Attorney crossed with Ace Ventura. I still... Literally, I made that up on the spot, and I don't know how I managed to blag my way through it and explain it. Because it's been a very long time since I've seen Ace Attorney.
I didn't even know you made it up.
No, I made that up, like, on the spot. because I only had like 3 games. I only had 3 games written down, so I made that one up, and I think what was another one? The Breaking Bad one I think I put down ahead of time. Knack 3 I put down ahead of time. It might have been Leisure Suit Larry. I was just trying to think of just like random game series that I wanted to get a remaster. But yeah, Ace Attorney X Ace Ventura was a spur of the moment because I wanted to give a funny game, and I thought, what's funnier than Phoenix Wright crossed with Jim Carrey? Um, you get the Mask DLC for it. Yeah, so that's our 4 nominees. I'll read them through again for you. Ryback is our first. Top or Flop is our second. Final Fantasy VII Status as an influential game is our third. And Ace Attorney Cross Ace Ventura is our fourth and final nominee for this. Well, for this episode, I suppose, for this 10-episode block. So my vote, personally, because both me and Joe get a vote, obviously. My vote goes towards the big guy, Ryback. I think he's done enough to get in. You know, he's been an ever-present in at least the last 5 videos with 5 episodes we've done. Like I'm pretty sure he even managed to sneak into the E3 special. You know, you can't escape him. He's just he's such an icon of pop culture. Is Ryback. So that's my vote. My vote goes towards Mr. Ryback, Mr. Ryback Adams. That is his legal name, by the way, Ryback Adams. I just find that so fucking funny. But yes.
Instead of saying why I voted for mine, I'm going to say why I didn't vote for the others. So, the first one that we're eliminating is Ace Attorney, Ace Ventura. I feel like, why, yes, it was funny at the time. I just don't think it carries over as much as the others do. So I'm eliminating that one first. Next, I'm eliminating Final Fantasy VII. Just because, it happened last week. We brought up today. So it could be influential. I just don't think, as of right now, it is. That's when I said influential. And so it comes down to Ryback or Top or Flop, and the next one I'm getting rid of is Top or Flop, just because I can't have it win. It's still too much.
Yeah.
So I'm giving my vote to the big guy. Because it's Ryback. It's Ryback.
It has to be. It has to be the big guy. Couldn't be anyone else. Congratulations, Ryback. Your Hall of Fame ring won't be in the post. I might send you a PNG of it over Instagram. How about that?
We'll tweet at him.
Yeah, we'll just at Ryback say, "Here's your Hall of Fame ring, mate." In the Wrestling Answers Podcast Hall of Fame, this second ever inductee Hall of Fame. Our next set of Hall nominees will be fan voted. So, any of the nominees that haven't gotten in are completely eligible now for this one. Even, Top or Flop, Final Fantasy VII, Ace Attorney X, Ace Ventura, make them valid for this special occasion. And obviously the original ones, so Ricochet in the Gimp costume, Grimm's Toy Show, and the Tramp Wrestling are all eligible. And any more that you guys, any more that you guys want to put in. So yeah, I'll try and figure out a way to do a fan vote. Probably do it over a poll in the weeks leading up to the episode 25, so probably be episode 24. The votes will open, so you got a while to decide, and obviously more nominees could show up. Even today, next week's episode, the week after, so on and so forth. So 5 episodes, long time. When would that be? That'll be end of August, start of September, I believe. So we've got a long time. We've got a long time to decide your votes.
Probably
yeah.
me picking the Croatia to win the Euros. Didn't get in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely devastated.
Well, maybe that will be in the fan votes. Who knows, Joe?
Who knows?
Who gnomes? But
Who knows if
yes,
anyone votes?
with the announcement of Ryback going in, that calls an end to our Hall of Fame segment this week. We'll look forward to opening it back up on the 25th episode. But now we move on to this. Was it the sus? Move on to the sus. The sus.
Sussy segment. Right. So, this week it's a lot more movie themed. I guess.
Yeah, well, I covered the games. I covered the games this week, so you got the movies.
That's very out of form for the two of us, but yeah. So our first segment today is based on me being a total Marvel fanboy, but also being sort of disappointed, and that is, does Suicide Squad 2 look good? Because a few clips have been posted, and it's not funny. But yeah. So how many of the clips or trailers have you seen, Jack?
I think the last trailer I watched was probably the last proper trailer they released. I know they've shown off footage at SDCC, which obviously we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, the last footage I saw was probably the last proper trailer they released. I know they released one the other day as well, but I mean before then. I've seen a couple clips of it. Obviously, I've seen what's his name, Cena's character, like Peacemaker or Peace Walker or Peace Walker's Metal Gear Solid game. Whatever his name is, I've seen clips of him backstage, all this stuff. Yeah, I've seen a decent amount of footage. Is what I'm trying to say. And I think it looks okay. Like some of the comedy's not really to my liking. It does feel like a cut price Guardians of the Galaxy. But I suppose that's what you get when you hire the literal director of Guardians of the Galaxy. So
yeah, I totally agree with that. I saw the clip the other day of the detachable kid scene, and it was just, it's like Guardians of the Galaxy humor, as you said.
Yeah, but
it doesn't really translate to the more adult.
It doesn't fit with the more adult, serious kind of characters. Well, I say
exactly.
Serious. They're a little more serious.
Like, what worked with Guardians of the Galaxy is, yeah, it was funny, but it also was.
Yeah, well, I mean,
serious themes. I mean,
yeah.
Drax's family got murdered.
Yeah, well, I think a big difference. A big difference you really need to point out with them is the difference between Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad. Is Guardians of the Galaxy, they're good guys. Suicide Squad, we know for a fact that they're not, and they're criminals, and most of them aren't
Oh
exactly
well,
very
Gu-
likable. I know,
Galaxy were criminals.
technically they're criminals in Guardians of the Galaxy, but like
They have good morals.
in a different way to Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad's criminals, they're literally doing it so that they don't die. Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah,
they do it of their own volition. That's the big difference here. The only motivation for Suicide Squad is they don't get their heads exploded.
yeah.
Like,
There's no personal stake in
yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy doing it
the
because they're
yeah,
good.
the only real stake in Suicide Squad is I will die if I don't do this. Whereas with Guardians of the Galaxy, they choose to do this themselves rather than having their head exploded if they don't. So, like these characters have a purpose in Guardians of the Galaxy, whereas with Suicide Squad, they're literally there to do a job. And if they don't do
Yeah,
it, they will die. So, another thing I want to point out that I think is like very similar to Guardians of the Galaxy is King Shark. He feels
yeah.
like the Suicide Squad version of Groot. Like it's painfully obvious that's what they're trying to do because
It's like that with a lot of characters.
yeah, well if you boil down King Shark for example to like a more basic understanding of it, it's a CGI character being played by a big name, but they don't say very much. So if you do that with Groot, CGI character played by big name Vin Diesel, doesn't say much. All he says is I am Groot. King Shark, CGI character, big actor played by Sylvester Stallone, doesn't say much. He just goes like hand, fish, like that.
Yeah,
Like it's ridiculous how similar he's made these characters. Literally, the only difference is one is a tree and one is a fish, or a shark rather. But well, a shark is a fish, just a big fish. Like it,
it's like that with a lot of characters. I think.
yeah.
Like, I think
It's painful how similar they all are. Well, like
you got your
you
Harley Quinn. That's more of like a Star Lord,
yeah,
cocky,
Harley Quinn's
confident.
sort of like the Star Lord kind of guy. I guess Cena's character is more like Drax in like he's there sort of for comedic purposes because Cena's like he's the straight man, same as Drax is with the Guardians. But it. I mean, another big parallel. They're both wrestling stars. They're both playing the straight man, and they're both not really. From what I've seen of Peacemaker, they're not really villains, but he's just there, I suppose. Because Peacemaker, like his whole thing is he, he's he killed like one person and got done for it. I can't remember what the backstory is, but like Drax, Drax has a purpose. That's the difference. Drax has something driving him. Peacemaker, he just seems like a decent guy who's just got a bomb in his head. To be honest, at least the way they're portraying him.
Yeah, and you got your Rick Flag. He's like Rocket Raccoon. He's like the strategist.
Yeah,
He's sort of like the leader, but he's not the leader.
yeah.
Um,
It's yeah.
there's a lot of parallels.
It's
But
painfully obvious that that's what he's tried to do here. I think what they've done is they've asked him, "Can you make Guardians but with DC?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can try."
they've literally got like Michael Rooker and
Yeah, well,
Sylvester
they
Stallone,
actually have
who are
Michael Rooker in it,
actual
don't they?
Guardians actors. Yeah, so
Yeah. So it's painfully
yeah, nothing
obvious
against
what they're
Michael
trying to
Rooker.
do. Oh no, of course, I love to see Michael Rooker get in the bag because he's a superb actor. Same, Sly Stallone. I like Sly Stallone as an actor. If you've never watched um, Creed, that is a superb film, and he puts in a superb performance. But yeah, like it, it really, really feels like what DC are trying to do is they've stopped trying to be the serious alternative, or they're trying to stop being the serious alternative. Obviously, we saw it with Shazam. They're more open to taking like a lighter route into the DCEU, or at least trying to continue it rather. But I don't know. It feels like it's going to fall flat on its face, and everyone's going to say, yeah, it's okay, but it just feels like Guardians of the Galaxy Light. It's just diet Guardians.
I think the
With more
action will be
swearing.
good. The
Oh
action
yeah,
looks good,
yeah.
but
Like
so
the
far, from
action
what we've seen
scenes
of the
look
humor,
fine. I think that's one of the strengths DC has. I think I know it's a bit of a controversial opinion, but I do think the fight scenes in DC are better than the ones in Marvel, because all the ones in Marvel sort of boil down to big lasers, whereas with DC, because they try to make the characters more grounded, they have like proper like fist fights and stuff sometimes, and I prefer that kind. Obviously, Marvel do it as well. Captain America, all he can really do is throw a shield and punch people, but like it feels like
Marvel
even
fights are very short.
yeah, well even like Superman. Superman does a lot of like actual fighting rather than just fucking shooting his eye lasers.
Mm.
The fight scenes in DC, I genuinely believe that's the only thing that they have over Marvel is their fight scenes are better. Everything else, obviously, Marvel have them fucking beaten. Like the only thing DC have maybe is like name value in some of their brands. Like I would say the name value of Batman is higher than Iron Man still.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, of course, I like the name brands of like Batman and Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. I'd say those three names are bigger individually than any of the Avengers. Like even bigger than Captain America in terms of like
Yeah.
he's historically obviously, because you think about when it was actually about the comics rather than about which one makes the best films. DC had Marvel beaten for fucking decades. DC were by
Like
a
Marvel was
massive
fucking
margin.
cancelled like a million times.
Yeah, but
Or
like
about to be cancelled.
because DC just beat them constantly because like the Batman comics of the 80s and the 90s, the Death of Superman, the JLA, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Then you got like later on you got Identity Crisis, Final Crisis. I was about to say the New 52, but the New 52 is shit. What else? Flashpoint was decent. Blackest Night as well. Like DC, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, constantly pumping out banger comics. Marvel, late 80s to early 2000s had like nothing. They had the Spider-Man clone saga and Tony Stark becoming an alcoholic. It's
Hank Pym beating his wife.
Hank Pym beating his wife. It's not exactly enthralling stories, is it?
No, no.
But yeah, in terms of the films though, Marvel obviously just light years ahead. I think DC were silly to think that they could compete with them. But it's because Marvel got in so early. They set up this expanded universe back in 2008. In 2008, DC had the better movies, but they didn't have the universe. But also because DC were only making, like one film every 3 years, and it was, one of the
Yeah,
best.
couldn't really hold down like actors,
2008,
directors.
2008 for Disney was not Disney, sorry, DC. 2008 for DC was not exactly a bad year, considering that's the year they released my second favorite film of all time, The Dark Knight, which is so good. The Dark Knight is. God, I fucking love The Dark Knight. Could watch that
But no,
film
I mean,
so many times. Oh. Sorry, I'm
We've
just I'm
talked
just
about
going on about how much I
DC.
love it.
No. I mean, it's great. We've talked about DC films a million times in this show, and one
Yeah.
thing we always say is they need the game plan. They need to,
Yes. Yeah. Well, like
because what's always been
they
the
are
problem is
showing signs. They are
putting
showing
down
signs that
actors.
they're going to play for the. They're showing signs they're playing for this long-term kind of plan, I guess. You know, like you've got Black Adam coming out, which say what you will about The Rock, I'm sure it will probably still be a success in the box office because it's, you know, a comic book film where the lead is the highest paid actor in all of Hollywood. So, you know, of course it's going to do well. But then also after that, you've also got the Green Lantern film is coming out next year, which I'm surprised we still haven't seen anything for, but whatever. We've got a Green Lantern film, the Flash
Got the
film.
plan.
I
Batman.
think that yeah, there's the Batman. I'm actually excited for the Batman. That actually looks
Black Adam.
good. That actually looks good, and it feels much more grounded. Like I hate to say it, but it feels grounded like Joker was, because it feels more like a real story rather than a man puts a fucking infinite energy reactor core in his chest and then flies into space to fight a purple man, and then the purple man clicks his fingers and half of the people in the universe die. Like, you see what I mean? Like, you boil it down, it's, you know, the Batman
Yeah,
feels
we
much
just say it
more.
like that. I mean,
Yeah,
Infinity War
the
is.
Batman. I feel like the Batman is going to be obviously a much more grounded tale because the villain is the Riddler, I believe. The villain's the Riddler. Robin Pattinson looks superb in that suit. Like the design of that suit, I really like. Obviously, we saw that scene in the trailer where he's just beating somebody up, just relentlessly. You know, I like to see a bit of edge to my Batman, so that's good. I think it's gonna be rated R as well, so that means Batman's gonna fuck Catwoman. Um, yeah, I don't know. I have high hopes for the Batman. However, they haven't said whether it's actually part of the DCEU though. Same as the Joker technically isn't in the DCEU, or maybe it is.
I think they should
But
give up with the DCU now.
yeah,
I
that's
think
what
they
it
should just make
that's what
good,
it feels
solid
like they're doing.
films.
Well, like they're still making films for the DCEU, but at the same time they're making films that aren't in the DCEU, like the Batman and the Joker. But obviously, you know, there are films that are still in the DCEU, like Flash, like Green Lantern, like Black Adam. Also, it feels like Black Adam's been coming out for like. Feels like Black Adam's been in production since like 2017. Genuinely.
I mean, we've speculated about it for years, I swear. But yeah,
Well, like I remember The Rock was first linked with it back in like 2018, and like I think he announced that he was going to be in it in 2019, and then it went 2 years without us seeing anything for the film, and then he just posted like a picture, well, like a drawing of him in the suit on his Instagram, and was like, "Oh yeah, no, this film is actually coming out, by the way." And everyone's like, "Yeah, no, we know that. Just when? When did I ask?"
yeah, I can't.
Um, got him. But yeah, Suicide Squad 2, or sorry, The Suicide Squad, because it's not technically a sequel, it is its own thing, but has characters from Suicide Squad, but isn't a sequel. It's a reboot in the same universe with some of the same characters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's weird.
it's okay. Right.
But
Yeah, it's very
next
strange. Yeah,
Let's
will it be good?
oh,
Or sorry, rather, does it look good?
oh,
Eh,
I haven't even answered that, have we?
yeah. Um, eh.
I think it will sell well.
Yeah,
I
no, I think
don't
it will. I think
think
it will
it
do well in
will.
the box office because I think a lot more people have faith. Maybe not faith in DC, but faith in the names involved. Like I think they have faith in James Gunn. They have faith in Idris Elba. They have faith in John Cena. They somehow still have faith in Margot Robbie as what's her name. So yeah, I think the film will do well. I just don't think it will be great. I'm sure. I feel like The Suicide Squad is going to be one of those comic book films that comes out and everyone goes, "Yep, that came out," and then they sort of forget it. A bit like Captain Marvel. Sometimes I forget that film still exists, despite the fact I went to the cinemas and I saw it, and I came out of the cinemas thinking, "Yep, that was a film." It's just, I have a horrible feeling it's going to be really forgettable, and it's just going to
Oh,
feel like just a carbon copy of Guardians 1.
I mean, at least it's introducing like new
Yeah,
characters, which are
it's
actually
bringing new
I'm
characters
excited
into the
for
universe,
seeing
which
stuff.
is nice. But
And
maybe we'll see
it's
them down the line
probably
in a
finished.
Batman film. Who knows? Well, like I know DC are looking to do stuff with HBO Max in terms of making DC EU shows, which is they're copying
Well,
Marvel even harder now. They're
they're
doing
doing
one
Peacemaker
for
the show.
pardon?
They're doing Peacemaker like the show.
Yes, they are. Yeah, so that's going to obviously be part of the DC EU. But also, one thing you might have missed, and this is going to tie us very, very nicely into our next segment. One thing you might have missed from San Diego Comic Con is they have announced that Michael B. Jordan will be involved in a DC television program for HBO Max about the not obviously not the historic Earth 2 version of Superman, but the current Earth 2 version of Superman called, I want to say, what's it called? Calzol? Calzone?
Yeah.
Valzod. There you go, Valzod. It's about Valzod, who is the current Earth 2's version of Superman, but the difference is he's black. So they're working on a show for that, and I believe that will be part of the DCEU, and that will help introduce like Earth 1, Earth 2 kind of rules, sort of like Marvel are doing now with Kang and the multiverses and stuff. So yeah,
Now,
that
so
leads
I
us
guess
perfectly onto our next segment, doesn't it?
on yeah. Now, what I didn't realize is that SDCC is now over,
Oh, it's
but we can
over.
talk about.
Ah.
I
Oh,
thought
I
it
didn't know
was
it was over. I
I
thought it was
thought
still
this
going
on
on.
for the whole week, but
Oh,
apparently
I
it's
was going to say. I thought. Oh, well, that screws my thought that they were going to show any Lego footage then.
well.
Rubbish.
We'll talk about what they announced quickly.
Yeah, we'll just
Uh,
go. I've got a little list here. They showed a new trailer for Dune. Um,
the second trailer.
everyone seems to think Dune is going to be this big multi-billion-dollar franchise. I
I don't know much about Dune. Isn't it based on a book
It's based on
series?
based on like a sci-fi book series. Yeah,
Okay.
I think people are getting very very overhyped for Dune. It looks, from the first trailer I've seen at least, it looks superb, like cinematically. The cinematography looks superb. All the shots are great. It's all like shot in the desert and stuff. It's got Oscar Isaac in it. Big names involved. Um, However, everyone, they're already making a television show to go along with it before the films even come out. So they've announced a series to come along with it before the film's coming out. The film's not coming out till like either the end of this year or the start of next year. It feels like they're jumping the gun a little bit on Dune, but we'll wait for the film to come out, or like more of the film, more trailers of the film to come out. There is a new trailer which I will probably watch later because I do want to see Dune. I want to see if it is good, and if it isn't, oh well, you know. Because if you know all about Hollywood trying to make random book franchises into big, global merch successes. The latest example I can think of is they tried to make. Have you seen The Dark Tower?
I have not.
It is a film adaptation of Stephen King's book series, which is a very good book series. I'd recommend reading it if you like sort of like dystopian future kind of magic-y sci-fi series things, you know.
I think they made a comic book of it. I keep seeing that in my.
I think there is a comic book adaptation. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep seeing the graphic novel.
Graphic novel
What they're
adaptation.
trying
Sorry.
to
Yes.
do.
Yeah. So they tried to make that into a massive big franchise, and then the film actually came out and it was shit. So they just cancelled everything because the film didn't sell. So I don't think the same will happen with Dune here because there's quite a lot of marketing going behind Dune. Well, I say there's quite a lot. It seems like at least like once a month something will get announced and everyone will be like, "Oh, yo, great," and then everyone forgets about it for a month, and then the cycle repeats. But yes, Dune. Second trailer was announced. What else? There is a trailer for something called Harper House. I don't know what that is. I'm just going off like a list I've got here from Green Rant.
Yeah, I've got the same there.
Yeah. There's the first trailer for the Blade Runner animated series, Black Lotus. That sounds cool. I like Blade Runner, so I'll probably watch that. Blade Runner 2049 is a good film. And it's got Ryan Gosling in it.
Yeah.
I was about to say Ryan Seacrest, but that's a different Ryan.
I was thinking Ryan Reynolds.
It's not Ryan. Whoa, that film with Ryan Reynolds would not be good. Yeah, so we got the first preview clips from the Disney Plus documentary Stuntman. I like documentaries, so I haven't seen any of this, but maybe I'll watch it.
I like a good documentary.
I love a good documentary, me. I love a cheeky documentary. Like sometimes if I want to watch something and I can't think of anything to watch, half the time I just go on Netflix and I just scroll through the documentaries list because they've got so many on there. Like that's the one thing I'll give Netflix credit for is they're really good at making documentaries. And to be fair, it's hard to make a bad documentary as long as it's nothing like, if it was about like model train building, I probably wouldn't watch it. But like, you get like serial killer documentaries. Usually they're quite interesting. So, occasionally I'll pop one on. But I don't think
like the ones that Disney are doing now with the
Stuntman's going to be about serial killers. But what were you saying? Sorry.
you know how they're doing the making of the Marvel shows, like them. But
Yes. Yeah, I watched the one for WandaVision. That was quite interesting.
that one wasn't as good as the Falcon and Winter Soldier. And
Yeah.
I've seen the first 10
yeah.
minutes of the Loki one,
Yeah.
but I've watched it all yet. So
Yeah.
no spoilers in chat.
I don't think you're going to get many, mate, because we've already seen the full show. So.
Hey, you might see what Richard E. Grant got up to.
Richard E. Grant. He comes on set and he goes, "I fucking hate these films," and then he leaves. So yeah. So what else? There was just looking through the list. Clip from Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad.
This next one might excite you a
Yeah,
little bit.
this one I've seen all this stuff. We've got the first promo stuff for the new Dragon Ball Super movie, Dragon Ball Superhero, which I think is a horrendous name. But from what we've seen so far, it's going to be a slice of life movie, or a lot more elements of it are going to be slice of life based, which is really nice to me because I like seeing the Dragon Ball characters just getting up to just regular stuff, Like Piccolo's got a house now. He's some big green fucker from space. They gave him a house and a mailbox as well. So that's nice. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Coming out next year as well. So the one thing I'm not looking forward to about it is in some of the promotional material they're using 3D animation. I don't like the sounds of that.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, for some of it, like some of the promo material they've released, it's 2D, but then the character model they showed for Goku was a 3D model. So I really don't know what's going on there. Maybe they're just using that as like a just for promotion. I don't know. They don't want to show off the proper animation properly yet. I have no idea, to be honest with you. But yeah, so what's next? We got a clip from the horror film VHS 94. Don't know what that is, don't really care. Trailer for the
Yeah.
new season of Doctor Who. Cool.
Yeah. I really care.
I don't know who's writing, but I hope it's not the same people, because that is the problem with that show, is the people who wrote it. It's not Jodie Whittaker. I think we spoke about this last week, or when we were talking about Loki, rather, yeah. The problem with Doctor Who isn't Jodie Whittaker, it's the writers. Jodie Whittaker is perfectly fine in this, in the show. Sometimes her line delivery is a little off, but other than that, she's perfectly fine, right? Every actor sometimes doesn't have a bad, don't always have a great take. But yeah, the writers absolutely ruined the last season, and probably I think the season before as well. Like the Jodie Whittaker episodes are bad not because of her, but because of everything else. She's like the only. Her and Bradley Walsh are the only two shining lights in that entire series. And I don't even think he's returning for this new season, which pisses me off. But yeah, what else did we get?
Only
We got
really, they don't last as long as the Doctor.
companions, yeah. So we got a teaser for Lucifer season 6. I've not watched a single episode of Lucifer. I've heard it's good.
Few of my
Cool.
family like it.
Cool. It's about
I saw a thing then he will
demons in it.
solo the MCU,
Yeah.
which okay. Well,
Fine.
Lucifer's
But wait, he's like a devil, isn't he? So maybe,
yeah.
I don't know, just fucking drag him to hell, like. But yeah, what else have we got? We got Fear the Walking Dead, and the new season of The Walking Dead. I thought The Walking Dead finished like fucking years ago. Because
Hey, it's been fortnight.
I know everybody stopped watching The Walking Dead as soon as Norman Reedus died. I think when was it? It was like when the guy with the cowboy hat died. I can't remember his name. When he died, that's when everyone stopped watching the show.
Oh,
You know what I'm on
Rick.
about, like the main Rick. That's the one. Yeah, Rick.
We told the
When Rick
story, innit?
died, everyone stopped watching the show. Norman Reedus isn't in the show anymore. The guy who plays Mark in Invincible isn't in the show anymore. All the good characters are dead, pretty much. Like, I'm fairly certain Tegan's dead as well. Like, there's nobody good left in The Walking Dead, so I don't know how they're still making it. Because nobody's watching. It's terrible. Fear the Walking Dead, 7 seasons. How? I've watched Fear the Walking Dead before. I watched a couple episodes of the first season when it first came out, and it was fucking piss. It was rubbish. And it's got 7 seasons. And this new season's apparently going to be about the fucking nuclear apocalypse. Like, what is this? It's becoming Fallout. It's literally... Fear the Walking Dead is becoming an adaptation of Fallout 4. It's ridiculous. But yes, what else did we get? We got a teaser for an upcoming cop drama called American Rust with Jeff Daniels in it. Cool. Sneak peek for season 3 of Amphibia. I've never heard of that. A trailer for Star Trek Lower Decks, which I believe is...
Oh, the
I
animated
think
one.
that's the animated one. I've heard it's quite
Oh,
good if you like Star... It's good if you like Star Trek. If you don't, then it probably will just go over your head. And I don't dislike Star Trek, but I don't like actively watch it. Like, I've watched some of it. I watched some of Voyager. I watched some of Deep Space Nine. I've watched some of what's it? I think it's The New Adventures with Patrick Stewart in. I watched, I've watched a couple episodes of Star Trek throughout the years, and usually I find it okay. And I've watched the fucking J.J. Abrams films with all the lens flares you could possibly want in the world. I don't think they're very good films. I think the first one is okay. I think Into Darkness is terrible, and I don't remember if they even made a third.
I remember
What
that
else?
I think it's the trilogy, isn't it?
I think it is, but I cannot remember for the life of me what the third one is. Like I can remember what the third Hobbit film is, but I can't remember what the third Star Trek film is. Ridiculous. The third Hobbit film, by the way, is Battle of the Five Armies.
I just thought that ridiculous. Like,
Yeah. So what else is there? Jordan Peele's new movie called Nope. Cool. I
I hear they're good. I'm just not a horror fan.
watched Get Out. Get Out is a very, very good film. Us, I've heard, is decent. Um, Army of the Dead. Have you watched that on Netflix? Got Dave Bautista in it.
Is that Jordan Peele?
No, I'm thinking of no. I'm going on to the next topic, mate.
Oh,
Army,
oh,
no, it's
okay.
Army of the Dead. Dave Bautista. Have you seen it on Netflix? Zombie movie.
Yeah, I watched it. Well,
Yeah, I've
it
watched it
was
as
on.
well. I watched it. Zack Snyder actually. I watched it and I thought it was
Shit.
fine.
It was shit.
I didn't think it was terrible. I barely paid attention to it because I didn't care about any of the. As soon as
I thought it
as
was
soon as the
boring.
German bloke died, I stopped caring.
Well, he's
Or
he's getting a prequel.
allegedly died. Sorry.
I'm
But
pretty sure he's
yes,
right.
they are adapting it into an anime. It will be released in
Fuck
spring
off.
next year. No, no, genuinely, it's
Oh my god.
apparently it's going to delve into how the zombie outbreak occurred and how the big like zombie alpha guy that they kill at the end. Uh, what's going on with his DNA? So yeah, that's coming. Anything else?
I'm literally.
I'm just scrolling here. I'm just scrolling through the article. Oscar Isaac promises Moon Knight will be quote unquote wild. It's a 6 episode series, and it's going to bring Moon
Getting
Knight
full
in.
Oscar Wilde.
Apparently, Moon Knight is now going to be in the Avengers movies. Allegedly, it's rumored to bring him into the Avengers. Okay. I mean, I do like Moon Knight as a character. I think he's got some cracking comics. Does Mister Moon Knight? But
Midnight is great.
yeah. Well, that's it. There you go. Moon Knight's at the bottom of the article. There you go. Well, that's about it then. Really, not a huge amount for San Diego Comic Con.
The same with E3 though. I feel like
Yeah.
there's probably
I
not a
think
lot of
things are a bit
progress
light at the
going on.
minute. Yeah.
But no, it should all be exciting pretty soon.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of it's coming out relatively soon. Some of it's this year. Some of it's next year. None of it so far is like fucking 2023. So that made me happy. Made me smile. Nice.
But no, I
Uh,
might rewatch Army of the Dead actually. Maybe I'll enjoy it a bit
I
more.
would.
I did like the only likable character as you said was the German guy.
Yeah, I thought Dave
And
Batista
I'm glad he's getting
was.
a prequel.
Yeah, who was it? The fucking the Instagram Live people or Facebook Live or whatever the fuck they were doing. They pissed me off. Um, who
A
else?
lot of unlikable
There was the
characters.
security guy as well, who just gets fucking ripped to shreds by a zombie tiger. It was nice to see him get his just desserts, but other than that, it was pretty shit. Um, yeah, so we'll move on to our topic, our last topic of the day, even. And what is that topic, Joe?
I
Joe?
believe It is the Steam Deck. So I was trying to remember. I didn't have the tab open, but no, it is the Steam Deck. Now we've
What?
discussed this off the podcast quite a few times now.
Mm.
Um,
You.
and what do you think? You reckon it'll be good?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be good. I think people are saying it's going to be a Switch killer. They're either capping or they're being ironic because, of course, it's not going to be a Switch killer. Switch has sold like 80 million units. Of course, it's not going to be a fucking Switch killer. But I don't think it really intends to be. I think it's just a portable PC in a console shape, I guess, if you really think about it. Um, would I buy one? Probably not, because I don't really use Steam a lot. Um, if I use Steam more, maybe. Uh, I think one of the biggest problems with it that a lot of people actually sort of overlook is actually the storage on it is really, really
Yeah.
small. Like the base
Is it
storage
like the
on the
cheap?
Steam Deck
Is
is
it the cheap
tiny.
model?
The
Like
cheapest model's like
64
I don't even
gigabytes
think it's
or
64. I think it's like 30. I think it's 32. Might even be small. Then they're going to be a lot bigger. You know,
yeah.
buy like at least two extra storage things for that because fucking chance in hell. Call me Vince McMahon. Um, it's not happening. But yeah, I don't think it will be a failure. I know a lot of Nintendo fans are going, yeah, fuck off. Nintendo fans piss me off. I'm sure I've said this several times, but Nintendo fans, all they do is whine. As soon as they get like a better alternative, which is what I think a lot of people see this as, is a better alternative to the Switch because it's very similar. You can play better games. They just whine. They're like, it's not as good as a Switch though. Not as good battery life. Not as good storage. No, I haven't got Nintendo exclusives. No. Well, I mean, you can install emulators on it, so I'm not. I'm not going to say what to do with those emulators. All I'm saying is that there is a Switch emulator you can download. I'm not saying anything, but
No, I'm not hearing anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
So it
Well, no,
just
I don't think
I
it's
don't know.
fair to compare.
No, it's
I mean,
not
you
fair
can't
to
even
compare
dock
because
the
it's
Steam
not the
Deck
same. Because
as
yeah, the,
the
the
sort
Steam
of
Steam
fair.
library is obviously way bigger than the Switch's library, and
But
a
the
lot more
Switch
a
still
lot more
has its
games will
features though.
work.
It
Uh-huh.
still has its exclusives. It still has
Yeah, well,
its thing. So
yeah,
don't panic, Nintendo fans.
yeah,
You-
yeah, well, yeah, it, yeah, sure. Um,
it's just a Steam Deck. It's just
Steam,
another
Steam
way
Deck
for.
does Steam Deck does have emulation. It does do that.
Well,
But
yeah.
yeah,
So
but yeah, I think the Steam Deck. Obviously, I think it'd be a failure. I think it would be wrong to say it'd be a failure. I just don't think it would be. It's going to be like a huge success. Really, I think it's an alternative, is what it is. It's not a replacement. It's an alternative. And I think a lot of salty Nintendo fans, when people are fucking like commenting like, "Ugh, ooh, bet you're shitting in your pants now, Nintendo fans." They're like, no, no, we've still got Mario Odyssey. What does the Switch? What does the Steam
but
Deck have? Assassin's Creed
it's
Odyssey. Like,
It's the same with people who are like, oh, it's a Switch killer. It's,
yeah,
but
for the most part, I think
there's
a
salty
lot of them are
Scream fans
capping.
and there's salty. Oh yeah, a lot of them are like ironic, but there are
Yeah,
a few where it's just
yeah.
like they'll
There's a
see it and they'll
couple
be
that
like, yeah.
genuinely believe like this is what's going to kill the Switch. Because,
Uh,
well, I mean, like
People just want to see Nintendo
hardware.
fans suffer, and that's
Yeah,
just because Nintendo fans are so insufferable.
Nintendo fanboys will literally defend any action that company makes. Like
And certain people.
they could set fire to an orphanage of 3-year-olds, and Nintendo fans would be like, well, maybe they were pirating games. Like they'll try and come up with excuses. But
Nintendo fans are very quick to be
very,
defensive.
very, very
And
quick to defend
I,
Nintendo.
hey, well,
Very quick to defend a
I
multi-billion-dollar company that they have no actual relation to, that do not care about them in the slightest, other than getting the money out of their wallets.
when
It's,
E3 rolled around, I I sort of said it because I believed it, but also because there was nothing else at E3. I said E3 won, like Nintendo
Nintendo
won
one.
E3,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of truth in that. And when I said that to someone at college who will remain unnamed, they were sort of like, you're just a Switch fan,"
What?
and
Yeah.
then he proceeded to say Avatar looked good.
The,
Um,
yeah.
and
Well, there you go. That's his opinion.
then
Immediately invalidated there.
exactly, it's an opinion. You can't get mad at people over the internet for an opinion. People like different things,
Well,
and
you say that, Joe. Everyone finds a way to get mad at people for opinion.
exactly. I don't think it's fair. I certainly don't want to be part of a community that thinks this thing. I'm definitely a conscientious person. I don't think
Big word.
I don't think there's a place for any discrimination just because you like a certain thing. And in this case, it's games, but there are other
Yeah.
places for that.
The only exception to this is if you like Ricochet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, you deserve everything that comes towards you. Like that's we don't make the rules. It's just
That's only because he's a piece. It's the same with like Katie Hopkins or Donald Trump. If you like a piece of shit,
yeah,
there's no like you're probably a piece of shit as well.
yeah. There you go. It runs in the family.
Well, this is the thing. It's so I know you're aware, but viewers might not be aware. There's a TikTok family called the Smithy family who got their house burned down.
That did
Horribly by
happen.
fans, and they got like
Well, fans is not the term to use. It's
well, they're not. Yeah, they're not fans. They're fucking dickheads. And
horrible,
basically,
horrible people. That's
people
what
are
they
just
are.
like defending them. They're just like, you should upload content if you're not ready to face the consequences.
Yeah, the consequences of getting your house burned down for doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, like
That
they got
that
takeaways
is
ordered to the
ridiculous.
house in the middle of the night.
You,
They got prostitutes delivered. They got rocks thrown through their car windows,
yeah,
and
you cannot try and defend that.
you can't defend that. It's just let them be. It's a horrible thing that happened. Their
Let it
families split
be.
apart. They're uh, they've lost incredible amounts of money
Mm.
from this. Their the kids were inside the house. What traumatic event!
Oh yeah,
There's
yeah.
no excuse
Hey,
for it.
those kids are gonna be scarred
Yeah,
for life.
it's just shit. So fuck you if
It's,
you think that.
yeah,
Um, and yeah,
and fuck your mama. Oh, fuck
exactly.
your mama.
We'll make a Gibbo family. Me and
The-
your mum. So if you say shit like
Ooh,
that, yeah, yeah. I'm really.
cheeky. Bloody hell.
But no, I think there's no place for harassment on the internet, and
Yeah. Again,
gonna
unless you like
stand
Ricochet.
for it.
You
Unless you like,
unless yeah. Because we will harass you if you like Ricochet. We'll come to your
or
house.
or you like Katie Hopkins, or you don't follow COVID restrictions, or
Yeah, well, you can do that. I'm just after the people who like Ricochet. That's my
well,
target.
there's no COVID. Well, there's not many COVID restrictions anymore, so you're in the
No,
clear for now.
yeah, well, yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, people were still doing anti-lockdown protests on the day that lockdown came up fully, which that made me laugh. I don't know what those silly people in Bristol were thinking.
Oh, Bristol, that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, just be nice to people. Just because they're a social media creator,
Yeah,
yeah,
like another thing on that point, they're not your friends. Do not treat
they
them
aren't
as
your
such.
friends.
They are not your friends. Do not treat them as such, because they do not know you, and you do not know them. You know their internet personality. You do not know them in person. This is a point that you have to get across, because otherwise people will believe that they are their friends. And you see it in, like, Minecraft YouTubers, for example. Like, Dream is horrendous for this. He tries to get across that he is, in fact, their friends. You do
Yeah.
not know these people, and they do not know you. So do not try and pretend like you are their friend. All they are for you is a number. Like that, in YouTube terms, all they are for you is a number.
Hmm.
But they don't want to lose the number, so they'll be a bit like, oh, get the viewers involved in some things and stuff. Do not ever think that you are their friend just because they, you know, give you like a shout out on a Minecraft stream or something, because that is not the
You
case.
you'll know who a streamer's real friends are, or like
Yeah,
real viewers
yeah,
by recognition. Like, oh, maybe they have like a VIP badge or something, or they're a mod.
yeah,
That's
like
purely what
yeah,
I
just
use to identify my friends, but not all my friends are like VIP badge, or because that's
wow,
pretty much all my audience
real
is.
friends.
But
How many
I do have
others?
people that I've met over streams, and like,
Yeah,
some I invited to the Arc server, and
yeah, and then they just
there's
disappear.
they just disappeared once it ended.
Real friends.
Um,
How many of us?
but I don't even think some of them even got in a voice chat. But
Yeah,
that's fair enough.
yeah.
Um,
But yes, that is something that bears repeating by obviously not just us. It's something that people need to realize is these YouTubers are not your friends unless you are, obviously actually in real life friends with them. Obviously, a very different case, but
that's something I was guilty of when I was younger. I
yeah,
remember.
you treat them like they're your friends. They are not your friends. This would be like
Well, I think I was
if you
the
think
opposite.
if you think about it in like an old way, I say old media, you know, you don't treat Dora the Explorer like she's your friend. You treat her like something on the telly. So why do you treat
Well, she is fictional, but
yeah. Well, like,
there's a bit of a difference. But well, a lot of
yeah,
these
but
guys' personalities
if
are.
you boil it down, people put on personas online. So, are they being real? See? Yeah.
Exactly. But also another point to, like, don't go assaulting people
Oh,
in
yeah. Yeah. Don't
public, because
fuck yeah. Cough
I
cough.
sent you the clip last night.
Yeah. Cough
I saw
cough
like
cough.
Tommy in it. He
Thomas in it. You got
he
beat
got
up.
like beat up by
Good. What?
people, and then like he got called the Q slur, which I will not repeat.
What? Queef?
No, replace the
Quetzal?
F with an R, and
You got called a
uh,
Quetzal?
I was thinking, what's a Quetzal? I was thinking it's a food, but I remember it's an art card.
Well,
Uh,
it's just a type of
well,
dinosaur,
yeah, it's
to
just
be honest, lad.
dinosaur. But
I wasn't thinking of Ark. I was just thinking of the
I
dinosaur, lad.
related to Ark.
Oh
But
god.
yeah. I've had a stinker there.
Turns out the dinosaurs were actually based off Ark Survival Evolved.
God, I can't believe they've built a real life fossil of a
Replica,
dinosaur.
yo, it's an alpha raptor in real life.
Oh,
Didn't know.
but no, don't call people homophobic slurs. Man, don't go kicking
Yeah,
them. Don't go burning down houses.
unless they're your friends, in which case
Or,
do it.
unless you're in a quick flash game with me, then
Yeah, yeah. If you're in a quick flash game with Joe, go wild.
I can
He can
take
take
it.
it. He can hack it because he knows it's a joke. And some
Exactly.
people don't. Some people don't treat it
Also,
as a joke, and
some people
that's the
are
fucking difference. Yeah,
homosexual, and then
yeah.
it's wrong.
There are homosexuals. That is true.
Exactly. So, wow, we got very serious in the
Mm,
last of fortune.
mm.
But I feel like what we said needed to be not by us, but
Yeah. Well.
by the YouTubers themselves, because
Mm. Cough,
you
cough.
know,
Dream.
any, yeah,
You little
Dream.
fucking rat.
uh,
You fat
say that
bitch.
say that people shipping your younger creators is wrong. Just fucking say it.
Yeah. Just
You don't have to
bro.
mean it, but just
Bro,
well, you do.
you don't have to be mean. All you have to say is stop shipping me with George Not Found because you're not gay, or you are, and you're just doing it as a fucking like power fantasy. Just, bro, it's weird. Stop it.
It's weird. Anyways.
Stop shipping you with James Charles in a minute.
Oh my god,
Dream X James Charles.
the power
To be
behind
fair,
that.
to be fair, I think they did play Minecraft once. So
Oh yeah. Well,
who
James
knows?
Scholes was a Minecraft creator for a while.
He was. Did you see he got caught on his Instagram story? He was watching some like Minecraft YouTuber while he was doing some makeup or whatever. And he put it on a story and was like, watching whatever the name was while doing my makeup. But he had to take his story down because people pointed out the creator he was watching was 17.
It
He
wasn't like
can't catch
coming out.
bloke can't
Oh
catch
well.
a break. He just he's just trying to watch some Minecraft and he gets people in his messages like, bro, come on now.
Well, we saw on TikTok last night a lot of
No.
people simping over a younger
Oh god, yeah, we
Minecraft
saw that.
YouTuber
Yeah.
who was female.
Females. Ugh.
And yeah, there was a lot of creepy comments.
It was a bit weird, lad. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not that there were a lot of girls on the internet, and that's why I sort of
Yeah, yeah. As we can say from our personal
don't
experience
watch any
of being
female.
women, you see, we can say this
Yeah,
from our personal experience of being women on the internet.
Henley Jack though.
Yeah. My name is
You
actually.
saw you saw, or should I say, you saw her celebration to beating my record in the Ant-Man percent speedrun.
Yeah, that
I will
identifies it
beat that. I'll make the promo at the end of this
eventually.
week.
Yeah, eventually. But yeah, I think that good place to call time on the podcast, isn't it? Just over 2 hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we talked about the Steam Deck. um,
Nice
that,
one.
that was not funny. Yeah. So if you guys enjoyed, remember to leave a like, subscribe. Yeah,
Tell your friends.
yeah, tell your friends,
Tell your
share
mother.
this video around, and if you don't, I will find you. And yeah, tune in next week for some more fantabidocious content.
Hey! What's next week, Jack?
Uh,
What's
epi-
9 + 10?
episode 21. Hey.
You need to sample that in, bro. Man.
Maybe if I can be bothered.
There we go. Confirmation chat.
Yeah, so
It's
there you go,
something
guys. Yeah, so remember, leave a like if you like Minecraft.
Trash. Absolute trash. I was disgusted.